Hey guys, did a little weekend sabbatical traveling, did some visiting and whatnot, and of course being the collector of fine metal objects that I am, I couldn't help but load half the truck up on the way home. So I stopped on one of our fellow YouTubers, Harvey Spooner, and he was trying to clean up somewhat too, just like I do, but it seems like I'm maintaining an even keel. He hooked me up with a bunch of chainsaws that he had in a pile, and we're gonna go keep those for different bicycle engine creations. These smaller ones would probably just steal like the clutch off the pull start, the knobs, and the carburetor, whereas the bigger ones I may keep as a power unit. The little ones are a little too small to run on bikes. But the big ones, like that there, could be a very good candidate. I'm not quite sure what we have. We got to kind of go through them, poke and hope. I'm not going to go do that right now. They're just going to go in the shed out back. And then he also gave me this, which somebody else gave to him, was this game fisher. And what's cool about this one is it is air cooled, or at least that's what we're led to believe, and I believe so, looking at the fins on the cylinder head right there. So that's a 7.5 horse motor, so that might make for a very good candidate for doing the same also. All depends on when we open it up what we find inside there. There's those guys, and then we got some scrap metal down here that we found out back, which is this sickle bar blade, some chain off of a piece of farm equipment, that guy, and then an old cog type wheel from another piece of equipment. So that's those guys. Oh, and a fuel tank that's got a dual line setup, which is all the old outboards would have a pressurized tank. It would pump air pressure from the motor into the tank, and then it would force up the other line for it to push fuel into the system. There's that guy. There is this Pook moped engine. And it's got a carb on it. I believe it turned too. Yeah. I'm not sure if it does or not. Sprocket turns, but that probably has a clutch on the inside of it. That's not maybe a good indication. Can of parts from that outboard. Garbage. And one of the fellow YouTubers dropped off some cans and stuff. I only picked one or two out of there. I wanted the older looking stuff. I thought this one had kind of a good look to it, between the red, the white, and the gold looking colors on it for some kind of setup. So we'll grab that. So all the stuff needs to kind of get packed and moved around. A set of wheels. And then a friend of mine, Mike, the guy with the Ford truck that had the 4-cylinder diesel put into it. This is from him. This is a takeoff from a Terramite tractor, the same tractor that I own, and they thought it had a bad motor. It did not have a bad motor. It had a different issue, but I now own this for a spare backup for mine. It's the exact motor for a Terramite. It's got the cut-off shaft on the back side of it, so it does not use this end to drive. It comes off of the fan and runs that direction, so it's not much good for anything else because it doesn't have a stub sticking out of it to attach to. But again, on a Terramite, it uses the other side. So that will go in the back shed too, and that does still spin. It needs a little bit of love. It's got some snapped off studs and stuff in it, but we can work with that. So that again is just going to be a backup spare. And then I stopped at a yard sale across from a house that my parents used to own, as I was just kind of driving around. BS with them for a while. One of the things they had was a set of 4 Corvette spinners that were in their collection. I guess the father passed away, and they get ready to sell the house and clean it out. So there's a set of 4 of those, and it was trim rings too, but the trim rings are already on my car trailer, just because. I figure we can go put those in the hoard for a future creation also, which I have in mind. So that's those guys. And thank all the guys that added to my collection. I'm not sure if I should or not, but I appreciate it, guys. Thanks again. And now it's time for getting ready for winter. Mama's car is the 03 4Runner, and it has an issue with tires, and its issue with the tires is that cracking. I bought those new on eBay, but I have a feeling they were old. They didn't make cracks on them when I put them on, but 2 or 3 years later, or 2 years later, they started showing that issue. So wintertime is coming, and the tread is still decent on them, but I went looking on Craigslist and came across these guys, and these are 17s. The ones that are on her truck are 16s, and they're about an inch taller, but they're Michelin, like a Michelin all season or whatnot. And they got some decent looking tread. So as long as those guys fit on there, we should be golden. And then those rims are probably, I'm going to keep an eye out for a set of tires still for those, and those rims will go on my truck that still needs tires. Kind of like a game, you shift stuff around, you know. The new Tundra has new tires on it, so that does not need to be an issue. So I'm going to go pull her truck over by the garage. We're going to go jack it up, and we're going to stick a tire on the front and then rock it back and forth to make sure there's no clearance issues, because it's also wider, and I believe the offset of the rim might be a little different. So instead of talking about it, let's go get it over there and see what we got. So there's that. It looked good. This has a 2-inch lift I put in the front end. They started making all the noses kind of sit down further than the rear. I guess it was a style in the mid 2000s. I wanted to correct. When I went into the cabin, it would run. It would rub on the some of the rocks here and there, even after the lift. So this extra ½ inch or so of tire may just help us right out. I forgot to say, I think they're off of an FJ Cruiser. And let's see, our clearance is fine up there. There's a good inch between the front suspension components. I think the offset is out further than the stock ones, so it might give it a little bit better footprint. So now the biggest issue is when we go to turn it. Let's drop it on the ground. Need some air. When we turn it, how close it's going to be to hitting anything, which is, I'm concerned about that rear mud flap. So hopefully the radio's off.
Entry.
Close, but I think we'll be fine. Let me continue it all the way. Okay, I want to back it up. I want to see where it is right on that mud flap right there, right about there. Yeah, it's a straight up. Might just leave it. See if it causes any issues. Worst case, I could take that mud flap off, I guess. Let's go crank her all the way in. Yeah, it's not even near hitting anything. I should just set you guys up here, huh? Instead of making you guys rock back and forth. Why don't we do that? That's fine. I think it'll be okay. probably do a little road test after. We'll see how those go about clearing everything. I like the look of them. Not much different than what was on them, just cleaner. So I'm gonna get all 4 installed, get the tires aired to correct pressure, and then we'll do a little rip. So we're on the other side. I figured I'd show the difference between them. Probably not even, about an inch taller, I'd say. And then width-wise, probably about the same, probably about an inch wider too. It's just that the offset that comes out is what I think is making it touch that mud flap. This has 180,000 on it. I thought it was a little bit more, but. And it was set up. It had 16s on it. You're focused. 16s on it. And an option was 17s, but not a 65 profile, not a 70 profile. But I think we're close enough. I think we're splitting hairs when you start getting into that stuff. Oh, that's them. They're on there. Should have took a tape measure and measured how high the truck was before and after. One of the things I forgot about was the spare. So the spare on this is going to be too small. And the problem is the truck is all-wheel drive. You don't take it in and out of four-wheel drive. It still has high and low range and all, but it doesn't have a transfer case that you could unlock the front. And the brakes will probably be a little weaker, but we're not talking too much of a difference here. And tow capacity will, it might affect the towing a little bit. We talked about towing our camper with this. But this has the 5-speed automatic, so if you shut the overdrive off, it may be just fine also. So again, I think we'll worry about more than we need to. But I like the overall look of it. It makes the truck look newer. Not as dirty as a set of wheels. So let's go do a little lap down the road and make sure it doesn't do anything funky and do a death wobble or something. Yes. It seems nice. I'm not got no hands on the wheel. No shimmy shimmy cocoa pop. The speedometer is probably off 3 or 4% too, but that's all right. Again, it's quieter, much quieter. I think the Michelins are kind of known for that too. The tread is not as quite aggressive, but the whatever they make them out of. I know they wear real good too. Michelin tires usually have a tendency to last a lot longer. The other one's got 43,000 miles on those. Yeah, we're fine. Power's fine too. This has the 4.7 in it, same as my Tundras. Yeah, we're good. It does, when I pulled out of the driveway, you can hear it rub on the mud flap just a little bit. But I'm gonna leave it like that for a while. I kind of want to leave those there because it just keeps the debris from getting up in the sheet metal. And what I might do is we'll let it leave a mark. We'll see if we makes a noise. Put the window down. You hear it? Yeah. And I'll let it rub into the plastic and make some marks. And what I might try doing is putting a heat gun on it and just pushing on those areas. Yeah, it didn't make any noise here. They're just on a really sharp turn. Just on a really sharp turn, it seems to make the noise. And again, we'll just maybe chase that a little bit later. I want to leave those in there just because of all the salt and everything that happens in the wintertime and not let it get funkies all over. Much better. I like the way it looks now. See the chainsaws in the background? That's future romping trails. So after I got the wheels put on the 4Runner, I went and looked on Craigslist, and that got me in trouble again. There. So the trailer, which is out there, is it's still in process. I got video of that, but it's a complete one. You'll see that probably pretty shortly. But I'm still trying to gather bits and pieces and tooling for that. So I was going to get a drill press for it, and I ended up with looking on Craigslist, typing in lathe and all. Mill drill showed up. These are the Chinese version of I don't know if they're a Chinese version of anything. They're just the Chinese machine, and it essentially is the drill press followed up by a lathe. And then the drill press is also supposed to be a bit of a mill setup, but truthfully it's a drill press with a lathe sticking out of it for the most part. So this was on there. I didn't get to get much information. He did not know much about it, but its biggest deficit is it's missing some pieces and components. I don't have tool rest that bounce to here for when you're whittling away on your lathe. There's nothing to hold your cutting tools, so that is not there. And then the tailstock is missing the I think what that's called, the dovetail shim. I forget what it's called. Anyway, so that doesn't have that, so it's sloppy. That I could probably make. I'm not that concerned about it. I'm more concerned about this guy. And the other problem with these are stuff is really not available for them. I know it's dark, but it does run, and looks fairly complete other than that. So the next part is to try to get this off my truck and onto this cart that is hydraulically goes up and down, so I can kind of line it up to it. But it weighs 350 pounds, and let's just say it was fun getting it on the back of my truck. Good thing the guy that I got it from was a lumberjack, and even he was struggling with it. So let me get that on there, and then we'll get a better look once it's on the cart. Alright, so we're up on the bench. It wasn't so bad. It's nice when you're able to dial it in. So I plugged it in. It's pretty much forward and reverse. I'm going to call that forward in. That's that guy. And then not quite sure what this does. That puts it, looks like in and out of gear. It seems like this should have a forward and reverse though, not just going, and that locks you onto the screw right there. So that'll allow you to, right now it's locked in. Actually, I bet you that's neutral. There we go. And that locks it in. So that's that. And then the switch up to the drill press mode. I believe you have a collar. There's supposed to be a plastic bushing on this. There we go. But we disconnect that. That probably lock. Yeah, that locks in. So now. That's that part of it. But that should be able to pop right out of there and become the collet. I think it uses 3C collets. I gotta go look. Gotta go look it up again. I don't have owner's manual, but I did find one online. So then you have the capacity of changing belts. The change speeds of that. That should move down. There we go. I'll have to do that two-handed. There it goes. I don't have something right. I don't know if that's supposed to be in, out, left, right. Yeah, it's bringing it down. Should be able to bring it down with that though, shouldn't I? But you're just something else there. So essentially it just needs a bunch of love. Clock spring. And then it has, like, so if you want to use it and you're trying to work the lathe part of it, you can crack the lever. That should allow the drill chuck to spin out of your way and have it more open for the lathe part of it. And again, we still have that last, the tailstock that goes over here, which catches the other end of the material. So I'm gonna go look right now, real quick, and see what I have for a little holder there. I don't think I do, but I'm gonna go look. And a quick search. This is what I found. I have this guy. I was kind of using it for a drill press. I was going to use it for a drill press and kind of give you like an X and a Y axis. See, she's probably upside down. That right there. We unloosen that screw. I'm just wondering if this guy, which I believe is for an Atlas, and then this would hold your tooling. It all depends on how the height stacks up too. We want to try to come. We need to be center of that guy, but as long as I get close, I should be able, as long as I'm close and I'm under, I should be able to shim it up into place. So again, I'm not quite sure what's inside there. Maybe I'll take that nut off of there and take this plate off and see what we got. Alright, so I figured out why the quill wasn't going up and down. I found a knob in my stash that kind of threaded onto there, and that's what that had to do. That had to pull out and allowed me to disengage from this screw. So now the quill can kind of move like it should, and if you want to lock it still, you can lock it down in place with that. So that's that guy. The this setup is all I have. I took that apart, and that apparatus looks like it's meant to be grabbed from down below and locked. There's nothing on here that locks it to that, so that's going to be a bit of an issue. So that's not resolved, but the other part is. And so let's see if we can get the chuck out of there. I believe that should be it. Should be able to knock it a couple of threads up and like a, there it goes. That should drop right out of there. That was smooth, wasn't it? So what's the setup for that? Looks like a 1/2-inch chuck. 1 to 15 millimeter, yeah, 13 millimeters 1/2 inch. So, and then whatever else that you can stick up inside of it that has that collet size, again, which I believe is 3C. Now I did get a couple of pieces. What did I do with it? It might be still in the back of my truck. Hold on. Yeah. So the only thing that was where was the this 3-piece adapter set, and I believe the middle one is the one that fit in the tailstock and should fit up there, but the only difference is it does not have a capacity of using the drawbar to draw up inside. I probably should make an adapter for that. So that guy can switch from either one depending on what you're trying to go do. So that's pretty much it. If you guys want to comment or know of a place to access, I'm going to go on eBay tonight and see what's available. Backstory on it was, again, he didn't know much about it. He had gotten it for non-payment of something else. The guy built log homes and some guy was stiffing them for something, and this became part of it. But the problem is, I think all the attachments did not go with it. So who knows how much of that information is true, not true, and you know if there's any shadiness behind it or not. I just don't know. So he didn't even know how to switch it from the lathe to the drill press part, and then I found that, you know, with the fact that you can pull the collar out here and it will lock from driving one to driving the other. It should have a bunch of gears, a set of gears to drive the feed going across at different speeds. It does not have that. It just has the one setup, and that is on there. That kind of sucks too. But again, my end goal was just being able to have something on the trailer. If I have to modify something, if I have to open up an ID or an OD on a piece of pipe, or drill something, or mill something away a little bit, it's going to be all rough cut stuff. It's not going to be anything that's pretty precision, you know. So that was the intent of doing this. Now I drove 70 miles each way to go get it, so I was committed with that part of it. He wanted $450 online. I offered $300. He said come get it today. When I went and looked at it and saw that it was missing, you know, especially that part of it, I offered him $250. I said if you could find the other stuff, I'll give you $300. So he's still going to look for that stuff. It was moved from another location, but if not, I figured for the money, I already committed driving that far to go get it. I might as well take it. Worst case scenario is I clean it up best as possible, and then I flip it for, say, $400 or something. I can just kind of recoup and get back out of it. It all depends on how hard it is to locate this stuff that is missing on it. So that's it, guys. I figure I'll maybe wrap this one up right here. Oh, two things before I forget. I'll do a update. Tundra. All the parts are in for the Tundra, except the rear diff, which I ordered. It came from Canada, Nova Scotia. So I got, this is a limited slip rear, and if you had to go buy it new, it's like $2,400. A regular one was $1,600, but this has a bunch of anti-lock and sensors in the axle housing at all, so I kind of wanted to match what was already on it. So I got one coming. It should be about another 2 weeks before it even gets here. It's like a truck freight, and that should be able to put that back together. And the RAV4, I went down to New Jersey over the weekend, and I brought the title to my brother, and he's all set to go register that, and he's going to come up in a couple weeks, and they're going to go drive that home. And that worked out just in time for him too, because his wife, my sister-in-law, her car is kapooey. So that works out just right. So now, guys, I'll wrap it up, and then we'll call it a day on this one. I know we didn't do much wrenching on stuff, but I wanted to bring you something. Well, you hang for a couple week or two, you know. So with that, again, thanks everybody for watching, commenting, subscribing. Take care, guys. Want to see a little storm aftermath? We had a microburst come through about two months ago, and we did a bunch of damage. So all the trees were knocked down. So this is Brian's backyard, and this is where we're going to be doing a bunch of trails. We had a couple of trails back here, but it was like in between the trees. Now it's all going to be wide open. How's that for a toy? I locked up. We could get one for a ride. So I figured. turn the camera around, we'll do a little exploring together. So when he's done, he's gonna kind of even out a path too with the machine. Talked about doing a circle with a figure 8 in the middle of it. And again, there's 11 acres, so it should be a decent size. And it goes all the way behind my house, so. They still have to flip a bunch of them back in the hole too when they're done. See how they're uprooted and it took all the dirt with it. So they're gonna push them and flop them back. Here's this one's already pushed back. This was over here, you can see. So we probably had about 70, somewhere between 70 and 100 trees go down. You can see now. And they're processing about an acre a day. And then they're going to chip up all the smaller stuff. You can see like what's left behind these like 6-inch, 8-inch stuff. It's too small to have any kind of value as lumber, but they will chip it all. See, they all snapped off. There's a couple that are still flipped up yet. They have to drag out. You see the bottoms. So all this should be cleaned out fairly nicely. And I live that way. It was so bad you literally couldn't even walk through here. As you can see, like right now, that's what the whole thing was like trying to walk in through that. You just can't do it. Just figured I'd share that with you. So there'll be some romping trails in the future.